All right. We're
Hello.
on. Bonjour.
We're here
On this fine
for
hump
more
day.
things.
On this fine.
Is it a hump
It
day?
is
I guess it
Wednesday.
is
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I don't really know what day it is. I just know if I work or not.
Acceptable. That
Yeah.
is acceptable.
That's all I really need to know.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. So welcome everyone. Welcome back. Did you catch our
Hello.
live yesterday on March 14th? We had a really good conversation about the
We had a very
prizes.
long
We we
conversation.
did, but it was so good.
It was
And we had
good.
folks join us.
I spent too much time yesterday talking about International Booker.
Not according to YouTube. It's never enough now, is it?
No, it's never
Yeah,
enough.
exactly. They're like, give us
Apparently
more.
YouTube only likes me when I'm being sassy.
Isn't that everyone?
I know, but it's
It's the
exhausting.
sass and the snark.
I do wonder what people who do those kinds of that kind of content all the time, like,
Hmm.
what is their what do they like? Like, does it
Um,
get draining? Because it kind of got like I had one wild ride of a weekend and it was exhausting.
but I look at it like people who choose to have a career that's built around being some sort of like a gossip columnist. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
a certain kind of energy and attitude and personality that you have all the time, and it gets your gears going, so you're never
yeah. I'm
tired
not
of it.
Joan Rivers.
Right? Oh
I'm
man.
not
Oh
Joan Rivers.
Joan,
I
rest in
can't.
peace, Joan.
I
What a
can't just
woman!
unabashedly.
What a woman!
Joan Rivers would have been canceled in two
Oh
seconds
my
in this
goodness, the
climate.
number of people from that era who would have been like buried under the dirt by now. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Times they are changing.
before we tell folks what we're currently reading or what we currently finished, I do want to give a little plug for our Patreon. We have one. Join it. And we have a lovely Discord.
Support the channel.
And one of our tiers, we have a buddy read. And what is this? Is March? Our March pick was Burial Rights by Hannah
Ooh, I have to.
Kent. And it's fantastic. And so if
Mhm.
you want to read with us and our special little Patreon, join so you can participate in those reads. This is separate from our 2023 reading schedule. This is just for our Patreon members. We are right now throwing out choices for our April picks. So get in while the
Yeah.
getting's good.
And we're running it like April, May, we read a book. June, July, we read a book. So it's pretty cash so people can come in and get synced up and all of
Yeah,
that. Like low pressure. Just have fun, read a
very
book. And
much.
I need to think of books for that list. I know I started the thread and then I never answered. I need to because I'm like, oh my God, what do I want to read?
I
What do
know.
I think would be good?
So many
It's kind of
options.
nice to try to find something that people have access to, I think is the most important thing
Mm-hmm.
because, it's hard. Times are tough.
Yeah,
Banks are failing. We need to be able to access things for
seriously.
free or low cost because,
Seriously.
yeah.
It is better if by chance everyone already owns the book. That's like really winning. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, join us. All links for everything are always on our website, tbrlowdown.com. All right, Patreon plug over. What are you reading? What did you just finish?
So I'm still trying to finish things
Hmm.
following our conversation yesterday. And I just haven't been given time to read, but I am rereading 100 Years of Solitude. I am here, which is, I think, like about halfway,
Yeah.
if not a little bit more. And this is like classic Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It is like, so you know how in Kin everybody's named Carlo? So just in case anybody was like, I'd like to read this because I know it's a classic, be prepared for confusing family names,
Mm-hmm.
but it's essentially a family saga drama. You go through this whole family lineage. There's magical realism elements to it. Like, like people live until they're like 100 and something, and like some strange sort of
Mm.
magical things kind of happening, but nothing like full on fantasy.
Right.
But um and I mean, it hits on some interesting things. I forgot because I read this so long ago, so rereading it now, it's almost like reading it fresh.
Yeah.
But so it's weird when I see the random things I highlighted like 15 years ago. I'm like,
Oh, but how
interesting.
fun looking at your
I know.
old
My old
annotations. I love
annotations.
that.
Yeah. There's not a lot of them in here because I wasn't a huge annotator, but there's like at least a couple, and I was like, oh,
I love
I
that.
must have felt moved. But basically, you have this family, and you're insulated in this family, and the way their lives proceed through generations, and just kind of how they're haunted
Mm-hmm.
by their past, and how they can't escape sort of anything because you're just kind of predestined to exist. And there's a lot of symbolism and metaphors, and this is the kind of book
Love
that
it.
if you really wanted to spend time in and dissect, you really
Yeah.
can. Or you can read it sort of more to just get the family drama and go through and just experience it more surface level. So it's kind of a nice book like that you can read it on different
Yeah.
levels and have different experiences. And I'm kind of enjoying the reread. And it's making me want to pick up more of his books and do more rereading of some of I have some of his books I haven't read yet. And then I have some of his books that I have. So like I still have Love in Time of Cholera that I could
I do
reread.
have that one.
Um, I believe I've already read Chronicles of a Death Foretold, but this was like years ago that I read these, and I was really young, so I don't know how much I remember.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to go back and read those. So that might be happening because I forgot how much I enjoy the writing. And sometimes it's almost funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's very matter of fact
Mm.
to in terms of how potentially I don't know if triggering's the right
Mm-hmm.
word, but like things people could be sensitive to,
Right.
like I don't
Like
know,
certain
incest.
themes. Oh, okay, like that.
And it's very like matter of fact about it. Like, no, this is what happened. Like, and it's almost jarring to a modern reader, I feel
Is
like,
it? Because it's all through A Song of
because
Ice and Fire, and I think people are okay with it.
it's true too.
Mm?
I don't know. I like it.
Yeah.
Not incest. I'm not like down with incest in
Right.
case that sound clip gets weirdly cut up, but I
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm down for the book. Like I enjoy it. I like this like exploration of your whole history just sort of already being foretold, and that there's really nothing you can really do to escape your fate,
Yeah.
which is not like it's just like this nice sort of philosophical debate that people have all the time. Like, is fate a real thing?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a predestined future?
Right.
Do you have control over your life? And there's more to it than that, but that's a piece.
Yeah.
Again, you could spend a long time in this book. But beware, be warned. Everybody is named one of two names. They're all either Jose Arcadio or they're all Aurelianos or Remedios. But those are the girls. It's
Okay.
easier. There's not as many girls. But there's 17 Aurelianoses, and they're just in the family chart as 17 of them.
Got it.
Anyway, there's a lot of people,
I own.
and everybody has the same name.
I only own two books by him. I don't own that one. I own the cholera one, and then I own one called A General in His Labyrinth. But that sounds
I don't think I have
fantastic.
that one.
That sounds like an amazing
I
read. I can see why it's on most, must read these books before you die lists.
Yes, and I have Autumn of the Patriarch, which I've never read, and I've got two collections of stories
Mm-hmm.
and possibly poetry. I don't know what the little one is. The little one, I can't see it from here. Um, I can't remember what the really skinny one is. The
Yeah.
other really skinny one is Chronicle of a Death Foretold,
Mm.
and
Those
I
titles are
obviously have Love in
amazing
the Time
too.
of Cholera.
The titles just
hmm
make you like, well, what's that about? I like that.
I enjoy the writing, I think, and Love in the Time of Cholera is one of my grandmother's favorite books,
Mm.
so it's definitely worth rereading.
Yeah, have to
And
get
to
into
compare to
him
my
this year.
mother's favorite book, which is Wuthering Heights. So I
Oh, well,
yeah. Remember when I read that?
yeah,
Like I called her like
yeah.
every 20 minutes, like, how is this your favorite book?
It's weird because I've heard so I know this book has like a lot of mixed reactions. Wuthering Heights, not 100 Years of Solitude. But I like when, and I have not read the book either, but I do like when I watch videos or listen to podcast episodes with people defending how wonderful that book is. I enjoy those conversations.
Well, not to make this about Wuthering Heights, but I do see some of the points where, you talk about a woman writer in this period of time writing this,
Hmm.
um, the actual, like, constructively, like the writing
Yeah.
of the story is really well done and it's beautiful. However, the plot and the characters are like some of the worst people. Like it's just I no, write something else. That's it. I just don't like the actual book.
And then we're done. Just write something else.
And
I
it's
like
not a
that.
romance. I just want to make that clear to anybody who wants to tell me it's a romance in the
Ooh, is
comments,
that one of the
in my
arguments?
DMs.
Whether it's a
It
romance
is
or not?
not a romance. If you think this is a romance, I need to have a talk with you about what romance is. No. It's an abusive relationship,
Oh.
but seeing as how Colleen Hoover and It Ends With Us goes, perhaps people don't know the difference between domestic violence and,
Oh.
and
All I see
romance.
are many, many toes being stamped on right now.
Sorry.
I love it. I saw someone recently.
Remember earlier when I was like, I can't be snarky all the time, and then we're like, so Wuthering Heights, let me dump
I
on
mean,
this
it's
for a
moments
second.
of snark. I recently saw someone's post about what is it? Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. That which I assume was
I
a
know that I know the author,
yeah.
but I never read any of
I
her books.
well, I haven't, and I assumed it was romance because everyone said it was romance. And so then
Hmm.
this girl post, she's like, I just finished this book and it was good, but it is not a romance. And I was like, what is it? So it's like, maybe this is what you're saying. Maybe people don't know how to differentiate between a story that's really surrounding domestic violence versus a true romance.
I think that this is another podcast episode because this is like the fourth time I've had this conversation with somebody, and I think it's worth discussing. Like,
But is it?
what
I don't even
actually
read
is a
romance. What am I
romance?
going to compare it to? I've read two in my
I
life.
don't know. Maybe it's not a podcast episode with you.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a
it's
podcast
with
episode with a
it's
guest.
with a guest. It's with a guest. And by the way, I have
Because
tried to get into romance. I've got those Beverly Jenkins ones. I've got the rest of those cowboy ones by that Caitlin Cruise person. But I
Mhm.
literally never have the desire to pick either of them up.
Naomi, I saw one TikTok. It's in my stories today. I saw one TikTok about hockey guys warming up on the ice. I need a hockey romance. It got I'm a little flustered.
I don't know. I'm not saying they're not great. I just never have a desire to pick them up.
I just don't think that that's how your thirstiness comes out.
You're right. My thirstiness is a Clash of Kings. I want to go to war in
Is that what
fantasy
you're currently
worlds.
reading?
This is what I'm currently reading. This is a
Segue.
Clash of Kings. This is book 2 in the Song of Ice and Fire series, and it's so delicious. So back to the thing about incest, right? We all know that Cersei
Yes.
and her brother
Yes.
Jaime, they
Yes.
have made children
No
together.
spoilers,
Okay,
Naomi. Somehow nobody
listen,
knows this.
listen, you all. This book series is like 1,000 years old, and the show itself is also so old. So if you haven't seen it by
People
now,
still
read it by now, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
people still get their pennies in a twist if you like spoil Akatar, and you're like,
Well,
where have you been on the internet?
untwist them. It is a thing.
Anyway,
So anyway, like I love hate Cersei so much. Like she is such a mean, evil, disingenuous, just all the bad things. She's just such a horrible character, but I also love it because
mhm,
she's so terrible. You know what I mean? She cannot be trusted. She will stab you in the front. She'll stab you in the front
It's
and
just
the back.
it's true. She doesn't need your
She
back.
doesn't need your back. She'll take either side, either view, front, back. It doesn't matter. But I love hate her. Oh, she's a great character. Anyway, I'm about 400 pages in, and I just can't stop. It's just so good. And I'm this is the first time ever where I have watched a show like religiously and obsessively. Like I've watched the series probably
Mhm. She's watched it a
eight,
lot.
9, 10 times all the way through,
It's
because
a
I love
lot.
it so much. And this is the first time that I've done that and then started reading the books. And so it'll be interesting to see because the book series isn't finished. It'll be interesting to see where the books go versus where the show went. So I'm waiting to see where they start to split.
Diverge.
hmm Because I have no idea. Like I don't
So my
know
question
when the showrunner and the writers and the whoever's decided, okay, after this book we're going to start adding on additional storylines because we don't have a final book, so we've got to like make an ending. So I'm
yeah.
really intrigued by that.
So my question for you, since you have watched the show and I've only watched season 1 twice, because that's every time I've tried to get back in. I've tried twice and I just ended up watching season 1 twice and never continued. How true to season 2 is book 2?
Very close.
So if I watch 1 and 2
Mhm.
and actually do it,
Mhm.
I'll be ready for book 3
Mhm.
so that I don't have to do all the reading,
Mhm.
which I think honestly it would take less time to just read the books, but that's fine. I will find time to watch things.
Yeah.
Jesus will probably like having a watch along of that.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
okay, cool. So, April,
Oh yes, for sure. Because this is going to be done like by the end of next week.
yes, and I have to finish book 2 be prize stuff. So,
Yeah.
and we have international booker and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. So April, we're gonna start book 3, which is a Storm of Swords. Very excited. I'm excited because that one, book 3, people seem to like a whole heck of a lot. So I am very
Yeah,
excited.
we're gonna
I
find
know, I'm so excited. Also, I'm so thirsty to watch the show again. So I'm like, as soon as I'm done with whatever the last book is, I'm diving right back into the show.
Well, I guess that's my homework assignment. Oh, but I'm gonna have that whole week. I'm gonna
Oh,
have
that's right. You
before
sure
we get
are.
to April, I'm
Yes,
gonna
you
have a
are.
whole week. So like I can just alternate like reading and Game of Thrones
hmm
time. There we go. That's how I'm gonna do it.
Such a good
Anyway,
show. Oh, love it.
I'm so glad we made this plan here live on this podcast recording
That's
day.
what we do. Also, heads up, April, I'm diving back into the Wolf Hall Thomas Cromwell series. So I'm gonna start book
Oh, so
2.
I should
I'm gonna do every
get
other.
that
So
too.
like, yeah, so like the second book I'll do in April, and then the final book I'll do in June.
Okay, just send me the buddy read thing for that and actually make comments like I
I
do
know I
so
was
it
bad this time.
functions.
Well, last time, yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, that's fine. I have it. I got it. I pangoed it. I have some pango bucks, so when we're ready to get the third one, I can get that too.
yeah,
And I not don't break my no buy.
good for you.
I'm
I'm
being
proud of you. Good
good-ish.
for you.
I have broken it a few times, but nothing crazy.
Broken it meaning you went
Like
beyond your.
I bought things without pango bucks. Like I bought things with like
But I thought you
money.
had some parameters that allowed you to. Oh, okay. Never mind. Never mind.
My parameters were like vacation and you,
Got it. Got it.
so
Okay.
those don't count.
All right.
But anywho, what are we here for?
Well, you sent me this video about who is Elena Ferrante
Hmm.
exposed, which was a very short video, but man, first let me just say that
I
lady's
knew it would get her
accent
going.
was just. I just love an Italian accent.
So I think she's from
Is
Brussels,
she?
but
Whatever it
eh,
is, she sounds like I want to have tea with her. I want to have a sandwich with her. You know, maybe a
so the creator's name is Anne Novella. So
Anna
go give her
Novella.
channel a like
I
go
subscribed.
subscribe to her. She reads a lot of lit fic, a lot of really interesting conversations about the books that she's reading. I really enjoy her, and her voice is very
It
soothing.
it
It is. It is
you
very
want to
soothing.
friend
So it's a
her.
good. You
She
do,
sounds
yes. You wanna
she's so
have coffee
warm,
clutch with her.
and she's just sounds so welcoming. I want to be her friend.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you love to bookshop
Well, we
with
can make
her
that
and then
happen.
go to a coffee shop and sit down and talk books with her? Like she's that kind of person.
We can make that
Yeah.
happen. Um, but yeah, so she put out this little video, and I watched it, and then immediately sent it to Naomi
Hmm.
because I was like, Naomi's gonna eat this
And I did.
up.
And I did.
And I think it's a really interesting little discussion because if you don't know, somehow, if you don't know, the author who is named Elena Ferrante is that's just a pseudonym, and we
Hmm.
don't technically know who that author is. So it could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be anybody, they could not even, well, yes, they could have to be Italian, right? But
Who
they
says who? No, they don't.
That's true, that could not be. We have
Yeah.
no idea who this person is.
Yeah.
Um, we just know that they are beloved and especially beloved by Naomi. So,
And for those, if you're new here, we did talk about this during season one. So in the show
mhm.
notes for this episode, I will link to the show notes from the episode from season one where we talked about this. Because in those show notes, there are also some articles. Because people have been talking about this and trying to investigate this situation for quite some time. So I'll link those show notes in these show notes.
But I think, and we'll link the videos so you guys can watch it, but I think that Anne does a fantastic job of collating this data and putting forth quite the argument for who could be Elena Ferrante.
Yeah, and I know this author. I've wanted to read his books, Trick and Trust. I think I talked about Trust in season one. So now I gotta order those books right away. I just have to now. It's so interesting, right? It's oh man,
It's crazy. So do you wanna kind of break down what we was discussed?
I wish we could play this video,
Um,
but it's so hard in Riverside.
I mean, we could play it, but I don't know how it would work.
We play it and they can hear it, but then in the editing, you don't need to add it in because we're gonna link it in the show notes. Can we do that?
We could do
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Riverside needs to get better for, like, adding, do you want me to play it in
Yeah.
here?
Play it in
I'll play
here.
it in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. It's because they'll
And
at least
then
hear it,
well,
but then sorry, we're having like a little shop talk for like 1 minute. But then when you're in editing, you don't need to worry about putting it in the video part because we're just going to put the video in the show notes. All right. You all were just a part of TBR Lowdown planning. How about that?
you can find out that, like, though we love Riverside, we also hate Riverside because it doesn't do what
There's some things
it
that we
doesn't.
wish they would, really address and fix and make a little bit easier to use. Media is one of them. So
Yeah.
so
So hold on for me one
yeah,
second
so
here.
while she's looking for the video and doing all that stuff and setting it up, she's going to tee it up so that you all can listen to Anne break
Oh wait, I
down.
forgot we're not in StreamYard.
Right.
So this actually might be easier to do it this
Okay.
way. In StreamYard, I usually share the files,
Okay.
not the.
So you can listen to Anne break down this whole thread of why she thinks it may be what is it, Domenico Starco, something like that. It's
Something like
so
that. And now,
interesting.
so now I'll hit play on this, and before I do, ooh, let's close off my phone here. A little bit more shop talk for the behind the scenes videos. Hi, video
You're getting
people.
this for free, folks.
Um, because you're not even going to see this video part. Though maybe if I'm snazzy enough, I could do it. Um, you're going to snap the audio in here because it's going to record the audio, I believe. But I don't think they'll hear it through our mics because we're using headphones.
But it'll be in the recording though, right?
Does it do
I
that?
don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find
You'll
out. It's an
have it.
experiment. It's an
I'll figure
experiment.
it out.
Yeah.
There's a way to otherwise we can just layer it in like I layer things. So anyway, let me hit play and we shall figure it out. All right.
Yeah.
This is lovely, and she's at 796 subscribers, which means she's getting ever closer to 1,000. And
Nice.
give her a sub?
Hello, my friends. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna, and today I want to answer the question, who is Elena Ferrante? Now, when you
Who is she?
Google Elena Ferrante, you quickly will find this picture. That's not Elena Ferrante for 100% sure. That's Anne Goldstein. She is the American translator of the Elena Ferrante novels.
Mhm.
I love that. I love that. Like, you can't even, all you get is the translator.
That's right.
You know,
It's
great.
There's
Oh.
probably another episode about that. Anne Goldstein was just on, I think, LA Review of Books, because she just translated this new book that's coming out, or that has just come out. And there's some interesting conversations around translators. So maybe that should be another episode
Oh,
that we can dig into. Oh, yeah.
interesting.
And I'll send you the episode.
Okay, send it to me. Anyway, back to Anne.
She's not the author. There is an Italian journalist, Claudio Gatti, I believe his name is, and he works for a business journal that is called Il Sole 24 Ore. And what do you do as a business journalist? Well, you follow the money. And all the millions and millions and millions of royalties came to one household in Rome, and there lives Anita Raja. Anita Raja is partly Italian, partly German. She is a translator of German literature, and she is also the president or the head of, or she was the head of the Goethe Library in Rome. Now, there has never been a single text published under her name, so there's nothing to compare it with. But she is married to Domenico Starnone. And Domenico Starnone is an Italian author. He published over 20 novels. One of them is translated in English. Is he it? Is he the author? Well, or is it a sort of Nicky French guy, which is perfectly possible.
I just like that they're both from Europa.
Yes.
It like would make sense. It's not in like some other publishing house. It would totally make sense.
Yeah.
That it could be like, it's just easier. Like, oh, I'm going to publish this book under a pen name.
Yeah. I just want you to know, and you probably already guessed this the moment you sent it to me, but like, I'm watching it, and like all the things she's like, giving us, and I'm like so audible about everything. I'm like, I know him. What?
I know. I know you were having a whole moment.
I was having the best moment.
I honestly wish we had a video of Naomi watching this for the first time. Yeah. And I assume that following the money is not a new thing, right. But I love how well Anne covers this. Follow the money.
She did a big job.
It's this household. Here's this guy.
Right.
That's where we are, folks. Let's keep going.
Exactly.
Now, it is for sure that all the money goes to that household, and they must be the authors, because the money trail ends there. And so there are a couple of clues that say that it is Domenico Starnone and not his wife. Domenico Starnone is born in 1943, just like Elena Ferrante, in Napoli. And Domenico Starnone grew up in a very, very poor neighborhood where they communicated with the kids by slapping them, just like the two girls in the Neapolitan books.
I love this little detail. Like, they even have the same sort of background as her characters.
Yes. And remember when we're talking about this whole quartet, and in particular the first book, My Brilliant Friend, and I was saying that there's just a lot of violence between the married people, violence between families in that neighborhood, violence against parents, and it is very violent.
Yeah.
I'm just loving this. I watched it like 4 times, and I'm still like giddy, like I'm watching it the first time.
It feels like we're watching someone crack a case. Like it's like real life Clue. Right. I love it. It's the rope in the library.
Right. Okay.
This isn't the best evidence. My favorite evidence is later, but
Yes.
That's one clue. Another clue. There's one word that only 2 living authors in Italy use, and that's Elena Ferrante and Domenico Starnone. The other 2 authors passed away at least 100 years ago, and that's inabolibile. Inabolibile means unabolishable. And that's not a very common word, and they only could find it in 2 novels, and one is written by Elena Ferrante and the other by Domenico Starnone.
that's crazy.
That
Like,
is
how
wild.
can you get, like, first of all, the fact that somebody was sussed out that there is one word.
One
By
word.
one word.
Like what?
What?
There are people out here that are on different levels that I can't even attain to ever get to, okay? That's one of them, where I can point something like that out.
I got things I need to do in my life. I don't have this kind of time.
That was a mind trip there.
Okay. Keep going.
Keep going, Anne.
Another clue. So you have Domenico Starnone and you have Nino Saratoni. Domenico is the official name, but his friends know him and his wife knows him as Nino. And Saratone is just an anagram of Starnone.
Pause. I lost it here. This is where I really lost it. I was like, oh, that's the guy in the books. I mean, I was losing it.
When she said that, I was like, this is like watching Poirot break something down.
Yes. I was so glued in. Oh my goodness. Continue.
Continue. Yes.
That's another clue. In 1992, you have the first novel published under the name Elena Ferrante, and that is Troubling Love. In the same year, Domenico Starnone also publishes a book called Viaggiamento. If you put them together, Troubling Love is the female version of a story, and Viaggiamento is the male version of the story. But it tells the same story, but with 2 different points of view.
That's crazy.
Right? That when she said that, I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
How?
And then I was like, I wish I could read in Italian because, hello, I would get it and read it.
Exactly. So you can find out if it's true.
Exactly.
I don't know. I guess gotta take this as fact because I don't speak any Italian.
Right. That was another like mind blown, revelation. Oh man.
I hope everybody listening is like enjoying this ride as much as we have.
Yeah.
Because this is a ride.
Oh, yeah.
And again, thank you, Anne, for
Yes.
putting this out. Please go sub her. Please go like the video. Please go say hi.
Yes, leave a comment.
Flood her
I'm going
comments
to.
with hellos. Yes. But anyway, back to the video.
Yes.
That's the first clue. So that's also a very important clue. So maybe he created Elena Ferrante just as an idea for 2 books. And he wanted to know how it would have been received by the audience. And then things went from there. Now, it doesn't matter. If it happens like that, it doesn't matter. It's okay. But there's also a professor. His name is Loreto. He works at the University of Rome. And he has developed a sort of a program, a computer program that analyzes text and compare them to each other. The computer program doesn't take into account the style or the message or whatever. It just looks at the basic DNA of a text, just the basics, the letters and the points and the dots and the commas and just that. And when he first used that program, he compared 2 Dutch authors. One is Arnon Grunberg and the other was Marek or whatever, and they quickly realized that those 2 texts were written by the same man, Arnon Grunberg, and Arnon Grunberg was the first to admit, yep, you're right, he is my alter ego.
This is my favorite piece of evidence.
This is the
that's
part
coming up.
where I said again, I said it aloud. I was like, that is way too smart for me. Like, he created a program to do that. That is way too smart for me. How brilliant is that? What even made you want to do that? What
I
you know,
don't.
like, what sparks that kind of genius of an idea?
I don't understand how any of this
I
works.
just
That is
that was
not the
mind
kind
blowing
of
as
thinky
well.
woman I am. I do not know.
Right. That's pretty incredible though.
Hmm. Yeah. So ready for this? I feel like this is the most damning, revelatory, like
Mm-hmm.
revolution. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
revealing
Mm-hmm.
piece of evidence is coming up.
Yep.
So yeah, they now wanted to try that with the Elena Ferrante text. So they compared texts written by Elena Ferrante, and they compared it to 25 novelists that could be Elena Ferrante. Women, men, there was, amongst other, Paolo Giordani. You might know him of the Solitude of Prime Numbers. And immediately, who popped up? Domenico Stanoni. So yeah.
Boom. Matched it against 25 other novelists.
Now, I mean, it is a small sample size, but in a small sample size, to get somebody kick out as being like, yeah, no, it's you.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting if they expanded the sample size
Mm-hmm.
to say like 100
Yeah.
or like 200. Would there be more people that hit? And then would this, but it just feels like with everything else,
Yes. Everything
if you
lines
then
up.
have this piece,
Yeah.
that is very supportive data, but it would be really interesting to increase that sample size.
It would be. But just with the facts alone about that guy, it's like, oh, these things are really lining up with the novels themselves. Down to the
Yeah.
name. Down to the names.
Yeah. It's an anagram. Anyway. We got like 20
That's
seconds.
I know.
pretty much proof. But it's possible that his wife helps him. It's very much possible, and that it's a collab. Does it matter? No, it's just fun to know. And does it diminish her work or Elena Ferrante's work? No, it's just fun to know. And that's why I made this video. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, we did
enjoy it.
And we
We
absolutely
did enjoy it.
enjoyed
We
it.
enjoyed it
I'm so glad
so
that
much.
you were
We're going to talk
already
about it on the video.
following her so that you could share that with me, because that was cherry on the that was everything. I enjoyed that so much.
It's I don't even care if it's true. I just love this journey of going
I like
like
the investigative journey of it all.
Yeah. I don't even care. I don't care. Though I do think it would be really funny that you could have all these things that are pointing to one human being, and then it's like some guy in Wisconsin who's writing it.
Yeah, exactly. That would be kind of crazy.
That would be really funny.
And I wonder.
That would.
I wonder.
And they're just friends, so they just funnel money.
Right. But I do wonder if Elena Ferrante has any desire ever to come out and introduce him or herself to the world. Or do they never plan to do that and just keep their identity a secret until the end of time?
I wonder, and this is something that people can leave feedback for us on and answer the question. If it really is a man, this gentleman, does that change your relationship with the stories?
It doesn't for me.
The stories are very feminine, right? They're very,
hell yeah.
Most of the things are stories about women. And he's clearly writing them well enough that you're not going, oh my God, this is a man writing a woman.
Right.
So like, that's great. We love that. Maybe there is a collab with his wife, and that's why the women sound like women and they feel like women and they read like women, and you don't have, alarm bells going off in your head. So would it change your relationship? I guess that's a question. And that's probably a question that if it is a man who is Elena Ferrante, whether it's this man or not, maybe that's a big part of the question. Does it change how your work gets perceived from that point forward.
Right. Let us know what you think in the comments on our Instagram or on our show notes, but it doesn't change anything for me. I
I don't think I would come out and say like I am Elena Ferrante if it was me. I'm not Elena Ferrante. But
yeah,
I don't think that I would come out and say that.
I guess it
I
depends
think I would kind
on.
of enjoy the mystery. As long as I was getting my money, I don't think I'd care.
Well, I guess the reality is we actually don't really know why this person has made a choice to stay anonymous. We don't know what those reasons
Sure.
are. It could be, for all we know, just like a deathful fear of any kind of attention or publicity. Some people are just against that. They are not equipped for that.
Mhm.
Who knows? Or maybe
Yeah,
they just enjoy the process of writing a solid novel and putting it out in the world, and that's all they want. That's all they want. Or maybe, like she said, maybe he created or wrote Troubling Love as another view to the book he already wrote, but then like maybe it was so popular and it got out of hand and he just kind of got on that ship and sailed with it. Who knows?
perhaps. I mean, I imagine there's more expectations on you as a creator when you have something that gets picked up and becomes like a show and this and that. I mean, just looking at like what Lee Bardugo's Instagram, and seeing all the work that she does,
Hmm.
being actually involved in the serialization or the cinema, whatever, the TVification of her shows, of her books. I can't talk.
Um,
Making her books into TV shows, and the fact that she is on set and she does do things, and then you have premiere stuff, and
but that's
but then
not
also
always
I
the
see
norm, though.
people.
Sometimes they don't
I
want the
also
writers involved at
see,
all.
yeah. Then I also see stuff like Emily St. John Mandel
Hmm.
had input, but not to that level.
Yeah,
So I don't know. Maybe there is that. There's like a not wanting to be known because you don't want to. You just kind of want to live your life. You
right.
don't want to be.
All up in the mix.
Yeah.
All up in the mix.
I imagine that if whoever Elena Ferrante is, if they ever do come out, there's gonna be a lot of spotlight on them.
Oh my gosh,
And
it's
if
gonna
that's
be
not something that you
crazy.
want, then that's gonna be incredibly
Yeah,
overwhelming.
it's gonna be crazier
Hmm.
because everyone's been wondering for so long. So it's gonna be magnified by a million. The amount of attention
Yeah.
and articles that, like, it would break the literary internet if
Yeah.
he, she, whatever ever came out and said, "It's me." Hello, it's me. I am Elena Ferrante. It would break the literary internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But let us know. Let Anne know.
Yeah,
Leave her a
please
comment,
do.
please. Um, and let her know how you feel.
Yeah,
And let us know how you feel about this little mystery
yeah,
and the clues that she's put forth in solving it. Um,
yeah.
and even if it's all right and it is this gentleman, I don't even know if I want an actual answer.
I like the
I
mystery
think
of
I
it.
already said this. I like the mystery of it.
I like the mystery of it.
It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I feel like most things are overexposed anyway, and in general, I feel like most of what is shared from celebrities, famous people is none of our business anyway, but
Hmm.
social media makes regular folks feel like they're entitled to know people's business. So I like the fact that she's not giving you her business.
Yeah,
That's what I like. I like the fact that she's not
that's
giving you her business because she doesn't want to give you her business.
it's actually more fun for me to like speculate
Yeah.
than to know.
Yeah.
So
Oh, so
so yeah.
exciting. That was just fantastic.
That's just a little fun episode, a little mystery romp with Naomi, Alyssa, and Anne.
Now, here's what I didn't look into because I didn't have time before we recorded, but I don't know if any of her books have won any awards that are like specifically for women.
Oh.
I don't think
That
so,
would
but I'm
change
not
things. Like
sure.
if they, not that it's eligible for the women's prize, but like if it was eligible for something like the women's
Right.
prize.
Or some other prize around the world somewhere that was just for women. And yeah, so that would be an issue. Because I think we're so used to female authors having pseudonyms that are male names because it was so hard for female writers to get an in. So if they had a male name, they can like get through that door a little easier. I don't think very often we see men who have pseudonyms as female names, right? That's more of an oddity, I would think. What do you think about that? Because they don't have any
Uh
trouble getting in the door to get publishing deals. It's women that have to really struggle to get any attention to their manuscripts.
yeah, I mean, I think that is kind of, I think you're right. I think it's more common for men to just have other men pen names
Yeah,
and for women to either write as men or do the initial thing
right.
so that their gender is a little bit more like obscured.
Really, so that you just assume they're a man,
Hmm.
right? Versus right off you read the name, it's like, oh, that's a lady.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very
So I'm
interesting.
trying to figure out your question about
Prizes.
prizes. And it won something like the Sunday Times Award for Literature. Um, they were a finalist for the Strega, but I don't know what that is.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that more.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I would think would be an issue is if a man really did write these books and if they were ever nominated and or won an award that was specifically for women writers.
So it was shortlisted for the Man Booker in 16, Independent Publisher Book Award gold medalist, and Translated Book Award shortlisted, but it doesn't look like it's won anything,
Yeah. It's
at least
also
according to
interesting.
Wikipedia. Anyway,
That was fantastic.
I'm calling it it. I don't think Elena Ferrante.
Yeah. Elena Ferrante. Let us know. Do you have
Anyway,
Ferrante fever like I do? Let me know.
I don't have Ferrante fever.
I know. I have it. It's everlasting.
They're fine.
It's everlasting. And don't worry.
I don't dislike Ferrante. It's just fine.
If you do dislike Ferrante or if you hated the Neapolitan quartet like I've seen so many people say, I won't hate you. I don't care. You like what you like, you hate what you hate. I just want to know.
It's true. She's actually nice about those things.
Yeah, I don't care. It's whatever.
Some people have bad taste. It's fine.
I just actually it was just the other day I basically quit all of my Facebook reading groups. I'm only in one now. I
Mhm.
just stuck with the Modern Literary Society one. And somebody had just posted about My Brilliant Friend, and she was saying how much she loved it. Like a lot of the comments were, "Oh, I just couldn't after that first book." Or like, "Oh, I just," like a lot of people are just like, I don't have time for all of this."
Yeah.
Whereas I gobbled each book up. Each book was deeper and got better and better for me. So, you know,
I think you should read My Phantoms because I'm just having this flashback to that book, and it's good. And Elena Ferrante gets a nod in it.
mm,
There's a mother-daughter buddy read.
mm,
Anyway, I think that you would enjoy it. Anyway,
okay, okay, all right.
what book recommendation do you have for the folks listening?
I briefly touched on it yesterday, but it wasn't a rec. But I do want to really recommend Say Nothing by Patrick Radden Keefe because, first of all, he's a favorite, okay? I've read
Hmm.
Empire of Pain. That was one of our TBR Lowdown picks in season one. I've read Rogues. That is his latest collection of like crime stories. And Say Nothing was just so good. I wanted, because I have all of these books that I have that I'm going to be reading that are set in Ireland and set around the Troubles. And I wanted to get an understanding about this time in Ireland so that when I read the books, it would feel more familiar to me and I would really understand the impact it had on those people in their lives. And Say Nothing absolutely did that. I mean, this like just blew me off my freaking feet. It was the things that were going on were so harsh and so scary and so horrific. I just did not really understand how deep it was. Oh yes, please.
You reminded me I needed
Yes.
to grab it. So I grabbed it.
So if you've ever had an inkling of an interest in the Troubles, I highly recommend you read Say Nothing, a true story of murder and memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Radden Keefe. Phenomenal. And then if you read any novels set around this time, you'll have a better footing on how it really was.
Yeah, so I was just showing Naomi for anybody who isn't watching us. I just borrowed the audio for Say Nothing because I want to read Trespasses.
Yeah.
If you weren't on our live, which is nominated for the Women's Prize this year, and I really would like to read it, and I have it. And she was adamant that I should do that first so that I have a better background, and she's right.
Yeah.
So I will squeeze that in somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
I do find
Trespasses.
nonfiction's easy to listen
Oh,
to
for
because I
sure.
just kind of put it on and I clean the house and I do things and I just pick up information.
Yeah, this was a
So,
workbook for me. I listened to it when I was at work. But yeah, and Trespasses was good, but I do think my experience would have been a little bit different had I not listened to Say Nothing. I don't think I would have really felt the impact of what was going on in that story and those choices those characters made and those things with those kids and their families. And I don't think I would have really got it, like how serious it is and how like you guys are putting yourselves literally in harm's way. Like
oh
I
yeah,
can't believe you're taking this risk.
oh yeah.
So yeah.
Well, this is good because I have a fiction. We're doing 2 recordings today, and I had a fiction and a nonfiction. So I
Perfect.
will follow up your nonfiction with a nonfiction, and that's All the Living and the Dead
Beautiful
by
cover.
Haley Campbell. And St. Martin did send me this. So thank you, St. Martin. I finally am reading it. I finally read it. It's not English. I finally read it, and I have a bit of a sort of morbid nonfiction. Uh, I don't know
Yeah.
thing
Hmm.
kink,
Yeah.
reading kink.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. It's not a kink,
It's an
but
interest. It's an
interest.
interest.
And so I really loved Smoke Gets in Your Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Stiff was okay, and I feel like those are the 2 big books about death and the death industry um, that people kind of know.
Yeah.
And this is a really interesting addition to those because this looks at things that neither of those look at
Mm.
in I thought it was going to be a bit repetitive, and it's not, which is lovely. um it looks at lots of different people that touch on death and taking care of your body when you're gone, from people that are working in cryogenics to people who work with like search and rescue to find your body in a disaster or something, or a war zone. You've got people that work with people that people who work with, sorry, there's just background noise if nobody can hear it, but people who work with like babies that pass on, and like where do you bring like the people who like work on babies in the morgue. It's like it's definitely dark, it's definitely triggering, but it's also informative and weirdly kind of uplifting because you hear these interviews with people that deal with you that treat your body with so much respect
Mm-hmm.
when you're gone, or your loved one, or your child, or your neighbor, or whoever. And to not forget that those people exist,
Yeah.
and that they are like an integral part of our culture, our life, our society. You know, I think I just really like reading about it because it's something that we don't talk enough about, especially in Western culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we kind of push to the shadows a lot, and it's a really important part of society. I mean, we think about archaeology and what we are looking at. We spend so much time learning about people through their burial rites and what they did and what they brought with them and what they didn't bring with them and where they faced them and how they buried them and all this other stuff. So, like, all of these things are really important parts of being a human being and living in a society. And I like that there are people that are bringing it out of the shadows because it's been so, like, life's been kind of sanitized
Yeah.
um, for the most part. And
Yeah.
I mean, this is a more of a new thing. I'm really waxing on here, but you know, even up until like the Victorian period, women were really much a part of, like bathing a body, dressing a
Hmm.
body, getting it ready, doing all these things. And as you've compartmentalized things from the home and into institutions like hospitals and morgues and
Right.
funeral homes and all this other stuff, you start to distance it, and then people don't know what it's like. People don't, they fear things. It's an unknown, and there's fear there, and I just don't think there should be fear.
Interesting. Now you're making me want to read that book. Hmm.
I will make you read any book on death.
Yeah. But that does sound really
Well,
good
it's also
though.
like, think about like my profession is dealing with people
Hmm.
at the worst of times, and often after they've gone,
Yeah.
I'm part of that chain of people that takes care of your loved one, uh, on the way
Yeah.
to whatever service or whatever you have for them. And it's an important thing. And the fact that we keep that separate from people, I think that it does give you a different perspective on life and on what matters and on what you can should be like fighting about or being upset about or putting your time into. I mean, I think it's an important piece of the life cycle that shouldn't be in the shadows.
Hmm. So are you saying you think that most people don't know what happens to you, like right after you die?
Yeah, I think most people aren't, like, you used to like get sick in your house and you die in your house and then get like whatever, and you were much more involved in everything, and now it's everything happens behind a closed door somewhere.
Mm.
So I just feel like it's easier to understand that it's over, that there's closure, that there's, I mean, it's like why women who have still, like, not to be triggering here at the end of this episode, but women with stillbirths, a lot of people have pictures taken with their babies
Mhm.
because that's the only picture you're going to have, right? That's the only moment you're going to have. And I've read articles where people are like upset that they said no, or you have people that are like, that sounds like morbid. Why do you have this photographer going around? And you forget, and this kind of gets touched on in this book too, is this idea of there's certain things that we do, things that we want to see, and sometimes people act like wanting to see, your loved one's mangled body
Mhm.
seems like something that you shouldn't want to see, like it's going to be traumatizing, but not seeing, not knowing, not closing that door can often make people more upset.
Yeah, I've had different experiences with death. When my uncle, my mom's brother, died, he was in hospice,
Hmm.
and it was actually a really beautiful moment because the person that comes in to take his body away, she asked my mom did she want to help prepare him for his departure.
Hmm.
And
A good
so,
hospice nurse
yeah,
will,
so she
it's,
did
yeah.
that, and that was really healing in that moment for my mom to do
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And then when my grandmother died, she died at home in my mom's house. And so I think most people think that when someone dies, you call them and they take them away, like, I mean, and that's not what really happens. So my grandmother was in her bed, deceased, and we just laid in the bed with her, around her, hugged her, kissed her, talked to her, cried her effing eyeballs out, talked to her some more, kissed her. Like, it went on for like 3 or 4 hours, and then we said, okay, now we're ready. And then they came
And
to
that's
get
very
her. It
healing.
is, and I took a
I,
picture. We all did. We all took
yeah,
pictures of those hours, and it was very comforting.
it is very healing.
Yeah.
And there are like a lot of barriers to that for a lot of people. um most people don't really die at home. They
Mm-hmm.
die in the hospital
Yeah.
or they die in a nursing
Yeah.
home. And you're separated from everybody. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this is like a lot of the conversations you have in like palliative care are
Yeah.
like, where and how do you want to die? Do
Yes.
you want to do it at home with your family? Do you want us to do everything and you'll be in the hospital, but you might be separated from them? And it's not even, so there's two obviously things going on. You have the person and their wishes, but you also have the family and the things that they need to heal. And I do think my personal bias is that if you can do things as a family unit
Yeah.
and be together,
Yeah.
however you can make that
Yep.
happen, if that's, being available because they have to be in an ICU, but being available so that when they call you,
Mm-hmm.
you are ready to
Yeah.
come and you can spend that time with them before they start taking stuff out
Mm-hmm.
and, letting the person pass. If it's doing it at home through a good hospice service, whatever, I think that it's like being able to be a part of that and saying
Yeah.
goodbye is huge.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to read about people that are talking so frankly about something that so many people, I bet you people listening have gotten a little like, because it's a topic that we get a
Right.
little skeevy with. And I get it. Like nobody really wants to think about it, but it's so much more cathartic to be able to have the time to mourn the way you want to mourn. Um, like more like naturalistic, not in like some sort of ceremony. And I think the ceremonies do help. That's
Yeah.
not um to say they don't, but I feel like having that moment, like crying in the bed with your
Yeah.
grandmother or like spending time with them,
Yeah.
I think it helps.
Yeah. But I just think
And I
maybe
thought the
some people don't
conversations with the
know
medical,
what you can
yeah,
do. I
yeah,
didn't even know that until that time. They were like, "Oh no, we don't have to take her right now. You
no,
can call us later." Even I
mm-hmm,
thought that, "Oh no, they're going to come get her right away." Nobody was ready for that, and so they let us
mm-hmm,
know. No, you have some time. Just take
yeah,
your time. Um,
yeah,
and
because most of the people that are involved in like the death
mm-hmm.
industry are really catering people and
Yes,
understand that this is not something that you can rush. Like
right.
you're not like dropping your groceries off and then putting them in the fridge and going away. Like no, you like there's a whole process here
Yeah,
and there's things that you have to go through. And I really love these books, I think, for that. And it's not the morbid aspect. It's not because I'm like dead inside or well, I'm a little dead
well,
inside.
yeah, yeah.
um but I think it's kind of uplifting to remember that there are people that are going to be with you until the very end,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to be respectful and caring of you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now I really want to read that.
It's really interesting. I thought the stuff about
Yeah.
like the medical examiners and people when you go to like identify a loved one,
Mm-hmm.
how they often there's this like natural hesitancy to let people see when it's really bad,
Yeah.
but how often people really need
They
to
need to see
see
it for
like that is,
closure.
yeah, there's like a
Mm-hmm.
psychological
It's like a
thing
mental
when you and
closure.
it's not as traumatizing as you think it is
Mm-hmm.
when not going through it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not traumatizing. It's 100%
Well, yeah,
traumatizing, but it's a different kind of traumatizing.
yeah. I
So,
thought that because you know how my stepdad just like he just died and it just nobody expected it.
mhm.
What his aorta or something ripped, and then he was like in the hospital, and then they
Oh,
opened them up,
mhm.
and then like three
He
days
had an
later,
aortic dissection.
yeah,
Those are
and
not
then like three
good.
days later, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna quote unquote pull the plug," and I was like, "Well, how does that work?" But even that was not what I think as we think about what stuff we
Yeah.
see on movies and on TV shows. Even with that,
Mhm.
my mom called in the morning. She said, "We're going to do it at this
Yeah.
time, right?" And then we get
We
there.
have
Yeah,
time.
family and friends were all in the room. We're comforting my mom. We're saying our goodbyes to my stepdad. And it's not even like the person like is gone right away per se. Like it's a entire process, and the staff is so
Mhm.
comforting. It's so respectful of this
Mhm.
moment. So yeah, you're right. There are a lot of unknowns. You think one way because of what we see, like on the Law and Orders and the Grey's Anatomies, but then like in real life, it's different.
It is
It's
different.
different.
Yeah.
This was a
There's a
great.
lot.
I gotta get that book.
Surprise!
Gotta get that
Death.
book. Wow.
No, I think it's a really important conversation to have
Yeah.
that I think that we shy away from naturally. I get it. Um, but I think it's important.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you read that. Putting that on my
You're
I'm putting
welcome.
that
There'll
on
be
my
more time.
list.
Don't worry. Do you know you remember what book I sent you, right? I have to find I'm smacking the
Oh,
mic. The book on the the skin.
yes.
So longtime listeners may remember there was a little brief mention of uh, the fact that there are still in you know possession of the world um, books bound in human skin,
I don't know why that
and
makes me just
randomly on TikTok, I saw somebody who reads like morbid nonfiction, and they were giving recommendations, and one of them was this book on that whole thing of like why people did it, the ethics of it, all of that, and I was like,
Oh my
so that one's
gosh.
coming at some point. Look forward to that
That's
moment.
going to be a heck of a
Um,
read.
it's short.
Yeah.
It's like a 6-hour audiobook, I think is what I
Mhm.
found, but it's definitely
For
interesting.
sure.
It's definitely going to spark some debate, I think.
Yes. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
definitely very niche. I don't think that everybody listening, if some people have probably clicked off since I've said that, but
Right, right. They probably clicked off when we started getting in these experiences of death of loved ones, but this is life.
it's life and it's very
We're all
important
going to
to
die.
talk about.
We're all going to die.
And maybe not right here. Here's the thing. Maybe right now is not the time that you want to hear this, but there's going to be a time where you might.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to have these conversations out there because
Yeah.
you need to be able to access them when you're ready.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
All right.
okay.
Well,
That was slightly morbid, but hey,
I thought that was a great end to the show about that book, and it just made me want to reflecting back to my experiences with losing family members. That just made me want to read that book even more. So that is now kind of high on my list. Kind of high on my
you're welcome.
list. So thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
Anyway, follow us everywhere at TBR Lowdown. Visit our website for all the things, tbrlowdown.com. That's going to do it for us. We are out of here. Bye.
Bye.